Have you ever wondered why two people can have the same 24 hours, yet one builds an empire while the other can't even build momentum? It's not intelligence, it's not luck, it's something far more subtle, something that happens in the first few minutes after you wake up. Every day begins the same way: a quiet room, a ringing alarm, and a single choice. In those first 10 minutes, before the world demands anything from you, you decide who you are, not with words but with action. Most people underestimate this moment. They believe their life changes in big events, when they get a new job, when someone believes in them, when luck finally finds them. But transformation rarely happens in explosions. It happens in whispers. It happens when you open your eyes and decide whether to rise with intention or drift back into comfort. The first 10 minutes of your morning set the rhythm of your mind. It's not just about getting out of bed. It's about taking command of your consciousness. The mind, when left unguarded, will return to its default state: distraction, doubt, hesitation. It wants the familiar, not the meaningful. And if the first thing you do in the morning is surrender to comfort, you are teaching your brain to choose ease over evolution. Think about it. If you start your day in chaos, you carry that energy into every moment that follows. If you start in clarity, you move through the day grounded and unshakable. This is why successful people treat the morning as sacred. They don't rush into noise, they enter it with awareness, because they understand that the quality of their day, and ultimately the quality of their life, depends on how they meet the first few minutes after waking. This is not about perfection, it's about alignment. Those 10 minutes are a mirror. They show you your relationship with yourself. Do you delay what you know you must do? Do you run from stillness because you fear facing your own thoughts? Winners face themselves early. They choose presence over pleasure, and that choice rewires the way their mind perceives effort and discipline. So when the alarm rings tomorrow, don't see it as a call to start another day. See it as a reminder that you hold the steering wheel of your destiny, and it begins turning in the first 10 minutes after you wake. The first 10 minutes don't just start your day, they start your life again and again every morning. The truth is, your morning doesn't just start your day, it programs your mind for who you'll become. And if you don't take control of it, something else will. Stay with me, because once you understand this, you'll never see your mornings the same way again. Most people wake up and immediately hand over control of their mind. First thing they touch is their phone, and within seconds, their attention is scattered: messages, notifications, unfinished thoughts. Their mind becomes reactive before it even has a chance to breathe. They don't realize they've already lost the day before it truly began. The winners, on the other hand, start with awareness. They understand that how you enter the day determines how you move through it. The habit that separates them is not complicated. It's not about doing more. It's about doing one thing: consciously waking up. That means when you open your eyes, you don't let your thoughts drag you into yesterday or into fear of tomorrow. You pause, you breathe, you create a small space of stillness before the noise begins. That's the difference between living reactively and living intentionally. It might seem small: 5 minutes of silence, 5 minutes of presence, but it reshapes the foundation of your entire day, because the first command you give your mind each morning becomes the blueprint for every decision that follows. When you start with intention, your mind becomes disciplined. When you start with distraction, your mind becomes divided. One habit leads to focus, the other leads to fatigue. There's a deeper psychology here. The mind is like a muscle. It obeys what it practices. If it practices awareness, it becomes calm and sharp. If it practices reaction, it becomes restless and weak. Consciously awakening is the daily ritual of reclaiming sovereignty over your thoughts. It is a reminder that you are not a passenger in your life. You are the one holding the wheel. It doesn't matter how long it takes. What matters is that it's yours. Those first few minutes belong to no one else. Not your boss, not your family, not your phone. They belong to you, and what you do with them determines who shows up for the rest of the day, your higher self or your distracted one. So tomorrow, before you reach for the world, reach for yourself. Sit, breathe, remember why you're here. Because the moment you learn to wake consciously, you stop chasing control and start becoming it. When you ignore the power of your mornings, you don't just lose time, you lose alignment. Each day that begins without clarity quietly builds a wall between who you are and who you could be. People often ask why they feel lost, anxious, or drained halfway through the day, and the answer is simple. They never took ownership of the start. They began on autopilot, allowing the world to shape their rhythm before they even found their own. The mind is not naturally stable. It is like water. It takes the shape of whatever contains it. If you don't give it direction, it flows into the cracks of distraction, comparison, and worry. And this is the price of neglecting those early moments after waking. Your mind becomes reactive. Instead of designing your day, you defend it. Instead of leading your thoughts, you chase them slowly. The noise outside begins to drown out the voice within. Every morning, without awareness, compounds into confusion. You start losing your sense of purpose, and decisions begin to feel heavier. It's not because life became harder. It's because your inner compass was never calibrated at the start of the day. A scattered morning births a scattered life. The smallest neglect becomes the biggest consequence, because the first thoughts of your day are seeds. Whether they grow into weeds or into wisdom depends on how consciously you plant them. But the beauty of this truth is that it's reversible. The moment you bring awareness back to your morning, you begin to reclaim your direction. It's not about adding rituals or forcing productivity. It's about pausing long enough to remember that life does not move without you. You are the one moving it. Once you see that clearly, everything changes: your choices, your energy, even the way you respond to adversity. You don't need a perfect morning, you just need an intentional one. Take a few breaths, bring your mind home, and start from presence instead of pressure. That alone is a revolution, because when you neglect your mornings, you lose control of your day, but when you honor them, you begin to master your life. Motivation is an emotion. It rises and falls like the tide. Discipline, however, is a decision. It doesn't wait for the perfect mood, the right song, or a spark of inspiration. It acts regardless, and that's why discipline separates those who wish from those who walk. Many people start their mornings looking for motivation, a quote, a video, a feeling, but the truth is, the mind cannot be built on feelings. It must be built on structure. The disciplined person understands that consistency is not punishment, it's freedom. Because when you rely on motivation, you are at the mercy of your emotions. But when you cultivate discipline, you gain control over them. Each morning, you rise, not because you feel like it, but because you said you would. You reinforce a powerful message to your subconscious: I keep my promises. That message, repeated daily, becomes identity. And identity is what carries you when motivation disappears. Psychologically, discipline rewires your perception of effort. What was once resistance becomes rhythm. The discomfort that once stopped you becomes the signal to continue. This is where true strength begins, not in pushing harder, but in showing up when every part of you wants to rest. That repetition, that unwavering commitment to action, sharpens the mind more than any burst of motivation ever could. Philosophically, discipline is self-respect in motion. It is saying, I value my potential too much to leave it at the mercy of convenience. It teaches you to act from purpose, not preference. Every time you choose structure over impulse, you are building a bridge toward mastery, one morning at a time. And that's where transformation becomes sustainable, not emotional. So don't chase motivation. Let it come and go like the weather. Build discipline instead. It will be the ground you stand on when the storms come. Your mornings are not meant to excite you. They are meant to strengthen you. And strength, unlike excitement, endures. Because winners don't rise when they feel ready. They rise until readiness becomes their natural state. Every habit you build carries a ripple far beyond the moment you perform it. What seems small, a few minutes of awareness in the morning, begins to rewrite the entire story of your day. It's like adjusting the direction of a ship by just 1 degree. Over time, that slight change determines whether you end up lost at sea or reaching your destination. This is the quiet power of consistent practice. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention. But slowly, it begins to shape the way you think, the way you move, and the way you see yourself. When you choose to begin each morning with presence, intention, and stillness, something profound starts to happen. You stop living in reaction. You stop waking up to other people's noise, expectations, and opinions. Instead, you start leading your own rhythm. That sense of control spills into everything. Your focus sharpens, your emotions stabilize, and your actions begin to align with your deeper values. You no longer chase balance, you create it from within. This is the ripple effect of one mindful habit. It doesn't just make your mornings better, it reorganizes your entire mental landscape. The mind loves structure. When you train it to begin with awareness, it begins to apply that same awareness to your decisions, your relationships, even your challenges. Problems that once overwhelmed you begin to look smaller because your perspective has grown larger. You start responding instead of reacting. You start observing instead of overthinking. And this transformation is not mystical, it's mechanical. The nervous system learns patterns through repetition. Each time you wake with clarity, you are teaching your brain what peace feels like. You're giving it a new default setting. Eventually, that presence doesn't just exist in the morning, it follows you into every part of the day. So never underestimate the simplicity of a single morning habit. What begins as a choice becomes a lifestyle, and what begins as a small discipline becomes the architecture of your peace. Every great transformation begins quietly, in a moment no one else sees, the moment you choose awareness over automatic living. Because when one small habit changes your morning, it doesn't just change your day, it changes the direction of your entire life. The moment you begin your day with awareness, discipline, and purpose, the world around you starts to respond differently. It's not because the world changed, it's because you did. Your energy becomes centered, your focus grounded, and your actions deliberate. This shift doesn't just influence how you feel in the morning, it influences the kind of person you become over time. You start moving from reaction to creation, from chaos to clarity. And that single habit, that one conscious beginning, becomes the root of everything that follows. What most people don't realize is that success is rarely the result of big, dramatic changes. It's the quiet accumulation of small, repeated decisions that align with who you wish to become. Each morning you choose presence over distraction, you strengthen your self-trust. Each time you rise with purpose instead of passivity, you reinforce your inner authority. Over days and weeks, this becomes your natural state, not something you do, but something you are. Psychologically, this transformation is profound. When you control your mornings, you teach your subconscious that you are in command of your life. You stop outsourcing your peace to circumstances and start cultivating it from within. You stop waiting for good days to come, you create them. The external world begins to mirror your inner discipline. People sense the difference in your energy. Calmer, sharper, more certain. You become less influenced by noise because you've learned to listen to silence first. Philosophically, this is the essence of mastery. True mastery is not about controlling others or outcomes. It's about mastering your own state of being. The morning habit becomes a form of self-alignment, a daily ritual of remembrance. I am responsible for the quality of my mind, and that awareness, practiced consistently, becomes the foundation of wisdom, strength, and peace. So if you ever doubt the power of a simple morning choice, remember this: the smallest habits hold the greatest potential because they are repeated in the most sacred part of time, the beginning. Because when you learn to master your mornings, you no longer chase transformation, you embody its